Spooky.
Ooh, a ghostly slow fade.
Hey,
Here
slow
we are.
fade. Hey, we're just getting started here on the website one. So, hello everybody. I'm Jenny,
I'm Paul.
and we are Go Box Art Crate. I know most of you guys are returning. Thank you again for coming again and again. Hi, Kim. Nice
And again,
to see
and
you
again,
in
and
here,
again,
and
and
Mark
again, and
too.
again.
I assume Mark is watching as well, and I see there's several others on here as well.
Mini.
So this time around, we were able to all log in, so that's good.
Yeah, I spent some time this week. You guys may have noticed the page changed a bit.
Yeah, you spent a little time on it, that's for sure.
I did.
It needed to happen. So,
It did. I actually
hi
think.
Marlene,
I
good
think
to
that's
see
just
you.
the tip of the iceberg because I feel like maybe we need to do some more of that.
Yeah, probably. It's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Keeping it up in the current times.
Yeah.
So
what's new, Jenny?
it's Friday.
It's Friday.
It seems like it's been a really long week. I've spent all week painting a window for an art center.
Yep, me too.
And-
Well, I spent one day.
Yeah, Paul painted part of it as well, and it was a lot of work because painting on glass in the cold weather with tempera paint, which is what they wanted to use,
I don't know why they want to do that.
more washable, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a challenge.
It was a challenge.
So every day I've been doing that, except for today. I took the day off. I needed to vacuum and mop my house and do some other cleaning, and I did that. And then I went up and I laid down with my dog, and we just watched YouTube. It was nice.
Did she watch YouTube? Or?
Yeah, she listened in.
And then yesterday was our anniversary. That
Yes,
was
27 years.
27 years.
And we had an art gallery showing last night.
Gallery opening.
Opening, yeah.
Yeah.
And we each, so far, like before we left last night, Paul had sold 2 of his paintings and I'd sold 1, so that was pretty cool.
And that runs through December.
Yeah.
So
So we may end up selling all.
I think one of them,
There's
one
Daniel,
of mine,
hello.
I think might not go.
Oh, okay. It's the one with just mostly just gray clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, yesterday was just kind of weird because it didn't really feel like our anniversary because we had so much going on. I was painting a window all day, and then we rushed back home, got ready, went to the show, and then like had a little bit of time to go out to dinner. And the food was super mid. It wasn't very good. Normally this restaurant is phenomenal, so we just were like, okay,
Well,
we need
to
a
be-
redo.
To be fair, we ordered salads.
Yeah, but it's $22 salad. It should be better
But
than
it's a
like your
salad.
like the little pub where the salad's like $11 was
Yeah.
better.
So if you'd paid $11 for that salad last night, you wouldn't be complaining.
Thanks, Daniel.
So
Yeah. All right. Tell us about what we're painting, so we'll stop jabbering along.
jibber. Ain't got no time for no jibber jabber. All right, here we are. We're doing Spooky Hollow, which apparently I probably misspelled. Like apparently it's supposed to be Hallow, but I spelled Hollow. So I don't know.
There was confusion with the name because I think Eric, who did the graphic design part, put it as Hallow, which usually means that you spelled it Hallow.
I don't
Because
know.
Eric will follow everything to a T.
But is it supposed to be Hollow or is it supposed to be Hallow?
Let's just call it Hallow. Spooky Hallow. Outside of like a few random things, that's what I've been trying to remember to put it as.
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't really.
despite that, it's a spooky hollow.
Yeah, I actually.
In the
noticed-
Hallow.
This is kind of funny. This is actually. I really like this one. This is one of my favorites that we've done as far as like. Just in general, I like this one.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing the little like we did the pumpkin jack-o'-lanterns kind of like this last year with the haunted house, and I really like that
Yeah,
kind
It's
of
like
look.
Turnip Head from
Yeah,
The Howl's Moving Castle.
and so anyway, so this one's really built a lot on layering, and it's not going to be too bad though. I think the nice thing about it, because it is supposed to be spooky and you know, kind of hazy and stuff, it's like it's okay if things are crooked and bent. That just makes it more spooky.
Yeah, crooked trees, some short branches that are broken off, and very, very dead-looking trees
Yeah,
is what you want to go for.
exactly. So I think we should go ahead and hop right in. And
Okay, and we're using our standard 6 colors that
We
come
are.
in your kit.
it's kind of nice. The nice thing about doing the kits this way, we don't really have to go over the colors.
Nope.
But the colors that are going to do a lot of heavy lifting tonight are going to be our bright yellow and our cyan.
That's what we use to make the turquoise.
Yeah.
With white.
Yep. And then white and obviously a little. We're going to use them all. We're actually using all of them tonight. Like they all have a prominent role in tonight's
I
painting.
can see them all in there.
Yeah.
The only one I don't see is magenta, but I know you use it somewhere.
Well, all of these shadows and stuff are
magenta.
all
Purplish.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's start off with a toast. Let's toast to Halloween and
Anniversaries and salads. Cheers.
And salads.
Good salads.
We're gonna go out again tonight and get salads again. So, but we're getting $14 salads, not $24 salads. I did have a good. My wedge was okay.
Yeah, your wedge salad looked really good.
Okay. So what we're gonna start off doing is we're gonna start off mixing up this kind of turquoisey color, and it's really.
I must have got one of your brushes.
Why? You want to change? Switch?
No, it's just it wasn't. It's been like there's white paint on the handle, and the turquoise wasn't washed out.
Interesting. Okay, so we're gonna start off with cyan.
Luckily, we're starting off with turquoise.
We are gonna start off cyan and yellow. It's gonna be more cyan, very small amount of yellow, and white.
Cyan, yellow.
We want this to be pretty light. I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. There we go. Maybe a touch more. You don't want it to turn green.
Oops. Just kidding.
But you want it to not feel, it's kind of like the Bahama blue color we used to use.
It looks just like that.
So I'm going to show you a little bit of trick that really helps with doing this. And we're just going to kind of pick this area. Like I'm going to come in about a third of the way and down about a third. And I'm just going to take this color. I'm so glad there's somebody outside riding a dirt bike.
I know, in the parking lot.
In the parking lot. Come on.
Probably the next owner or his son.
Could be. No, he's away at college.
Oh.
Anyway, so you kind of start out, paint a donut.
Look how much paint I made.
You are just like always. Now, I'm going to wipe my brush off. And I'm just going to take some white now. And just go right into the middle of this donut. And think about taking this color out, away.
I accidentally put my moon in the center, so I'm
That's
gonna
all right.
have some work.
It won't hurt. That's the nice thing about this painting is it really doesn't matter where your moon goes. And I'm just going to keep working my way out a bit.
Oh, Daniel, I think this is the first painting I've done in at least 5 months. Well, time to get with the program, Daniel.
So he's going to be too focused on his painting and not be telling us what shapes are on our palettes.
Yeah.
All right, just a little bit more white. Now you have to be careful, like when you start doing this kind of technique where you pull white into the middle, it'll kind of like the other colors will kind of gobble it up. So don't just keep adding white if it's doing that. Just move away from it. We'll come back later and add more white anyway.
You can also add more white and just like barely glide your brush over the top so it doesn't overmix into
Yeah,
it.
well that's the key, is not over mixing it. Now as I work my way out,
Okay, Mario.
I'm going to add a little bit more of the cyan to our mix. Just the cyan. And I'm going to go out, leave a little gap, because I want to paint out and then bring this color back in. It's easier to start a little bit further away and bring it back in than it is to just go right along the edge and expect it to blend well. Because that's how you end up with those harsh lines. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Jenny knows what I'm
The
talking about.
harsh, non-blended lines.
Yep.
So now we're mixing them together.
Yep. Give yourself a little bit of buffer space between them, and then bring the darker color to the lighter color.
A little blendy blue.
Yeah. Yeah. We should have dressed up tonight.
I thought about it briefly.
I dressed up like a lumberjack.
Me too. I'm
And
wearing
you
a flannel.
dressed up like a lumberjill.
Lumberjill and lumberjack.
Although my beard is not there anymore. It's almost gone. and that's okay.
So you're just putting cyan on the top, or are you?
Well, I've been adding it to our puddle
Okay.
of color. It's kind of the same thing. I'm just giving myself a little gap here. I'm going to rinse my brush real quick because it's starting to stick to the canvas a bit, which means it's paint starting to dry on the bristles. Boy, my arm is getting tired already.
So we've been painting that window.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Paul did this huge tree. It was really cool.
Did we post pictures?
No, I can though. When it's done, I'll do it.
Now, this has been kind of drying over here, so that might be dry. If you run into a situation where it's not wanting to blend because your existing paint's already kind of drying, just you can add a little bit of white.
Or if you left your pale turquoise.
Or if you let...
'Cause I have quite a bit of that left because I made a ton.
Yeah, you did, didn't
But
you?
it works really good for blending.
A lot of this up in here, we're going to actually come back later and add shadows and stuff, so this top couple inches are not that important, just we want to make sure we've got some color there. Actually, none of this is really that important because this can actually be pretty choppy and uneven because then that just kind of gives it more of a foggy feel.
Hey, we need to do a little shout out to Bonnie Sword.
We do. We saw her.
Bonnie is one of our longtime subscribers and lives out here, and she came in last night to our gallery opening.
Yeah.
So thanks, Bonnie. That was really cool to see you.
It was nice to put a face to the name.
Yeah.
And we could probably even, well, we'll get into that later.
What?
We have some other exciting stuff going on.
We do?
Yeah, our Arts Foundation.
Oh, yeah. I think we've mentioned that on here.
Well, but we've got our lease. We've got our building.
Yeah, we re-signed our lease back in our old space, and we're super excited about that because we're sharing it with other creative people, and that's really what it needed from the very beginning.
Did you see what I just did?
Wait, that was accidental?
Yeah, I accidentally hit my little nubbin of black.
Use your paper towel and wipe it off.
No, it's all
Show us how we fix this, Paul.
Yeah.
So nobody do that. You could have wiped it off with your paper towel.
I could. But it might just take off the paint underneath, too.
I have some turquoise you can borrow. It's, I think, the exact shade. That is really funny. Let's move your palette over.
Can you give me a fresh paper towel?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to, no, it's all right. We're going to, we'll talk about this later, but I do need a fresh
You
paper.
got punked by your own painting.
Dun, dun, dun. So, that wasn't supposed to happen. Actually, I'm going to steal some of your turquoise. So, a lot of times, let's talk about this. Let's take this as a learning opportunity. A lot of times, our instinct is to immediately throw paint right back onto the mix. That usually is not the right decision because it's just kind of like, it just makes it be.
Oops. I'm sorry.
We are a hot mess.
Yeah.
Not as bad as
Friday the
last
13th
week.
was
Last week was amazing. We needed therapy after last week.
We got it we got therapy in the form of liquid.
So anyway, a lot of times your natural instinct is going to be to throw more color at it, try to paint over.
Over it.
But you can see like what I did is I wiped a lot of it off with my paper towel. I'm just kind of trying to minimize the amount of that black in this area. And mostly what I want to do though is I'm going to let it sit and let it kind of dissipate on its own. So
Well, now you've just got some fog in there.
yeah, exactly. It's all good. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to work our way down. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix a little bit more of our cyan. And we're going to mix in quite a bit of magenta.
We aiming for grape?
Yeah, grape.
Grape.
And I'm just going to bring this up.
That's really purple.
Yeah. And this is really like, this color is not a color that really is going to end up.
Super visible.
Yeah, it's just going to be there.
That's what I was saying where I didn't see the magenta. Well, now I see it. It's a layering piece.
It's a layering bit.
My arms are already tired. I'm so out of paint shape.
We need to talk about the off season.
That was a good one. It actually happens to me a lot, and you'd think that like after 12 years of teaching painting, my arm muscles would be like, oh yeah, muscle memory, we remember this. But no, they're always like, what the heck is going on?
Right.
What are you doing?
So try to kind of blend this in if you can. Doesn't have to be. And you can always rinse your brush off. Like I've got this area right here where I'm trying to blend. Just taking extra paint off my brush helps. Having it a little bit damp helps. So I've kind of got this little...
These colors so far screaming 1993. Okay, we got married in 1996. Teal and purple were our, like this light teal color, and purple were our colors for our wedding.
There was like a line of, like Nike went hard on this teal and purple for the Jordan line.
Back then?
In like 1992. Like 1991. I actually had a Jordan duffel bag that was these exact colors.
Oh, I remember that. I don't remember the bag. I remember, because we didn't know each other then. But I remember the teal and purple craze. So see, we had a Jordan themed wedding, Nike Jordan themed wedding.
Wasn't intentional. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of this purple and just kind of fluff it into the top corner.
Ah, Kim said her mark had teal and turquoise.
Well, I guess we know who got married in the 90s.
Yeah, us art people come together and pick teal and turquoise. You know, I had seen somewhere that that's coming back.
Oh, it should. It's a wonderful combination.
It actually is.
It's like, I don't know. It's like, have you ever been like been through past like H&M or the Gap lately? Everything is beige.
Oh, yeah, always at the Gap.
No, I mean, they don't even have, like, usually they used to have, like, beige and, like, navy blue. It's just beige and off-white. There's nothing else. All right.
88. They got married in 88.
Yeah, so just a couple years before us. All right, so...
8 years, yeah. Maybe 8 year difference.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just,
yeah, don't get too busy with that, because we got a lot of layering that's going to go on in through there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get this, like, see where it's blue right here.
Okay, so, but right now, I'm telling you.
Right now.
We have a layer that's going to go across right there, and you're just making it harder for yourself.
I'm done.
All right, so next step, I'm going to rinse my brush off. Rinse it. What?
Daniel says this paint smells so much better than the old stuff. Yes.
Some of the old stuff would oxidize and get real farty.
Yeah, sometimes it would smell like, well, there was one time that we opened a bottle up at a lodge we were teaching at. And
I thought the guy in the front row.
We thought everybody had gas, and then realized at the end of the class.
Did they have a chili feed before the class
we
started?
realized at the end of the class that it was the paint. They probably thought it was you, Paul.
Probably. I mean, I started to wonder. I was like, am I just sneaking them out and I didn't even know it? All right, so I'm just going to take my biggest brush. I'm going to get a little bit of white on it. We're going to do the old compass trick where you anchor one corner and just spin. Just plain white. And let's go around that one more time. It doesn't have to be really solid filled right now.
It's like I'm making a vinyl record. So are you doing 2 layers, so it's 2 brush widths?
Yeah, pretty much. And then we'll fill that in later. Like we'll just gonna leave it there. We'll come back in later with a... I actually really like it being really soft and subtle right now, because then when we highlight it, we can really play up the craters and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So having that blend in is good. It's good. Seriously. ATV. I bet you it's a 4-wheeler.
Sounds like a 4-wheeler.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing we're going to do on this is we're going to do after we got that moon, oops.
What?
Nothing. We are going to get this back row of trees. Jeez.
The Hornets were an expansion team in '88, I believe. That was random.
Charlotte Hornets, that's their colors.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You're right.
Of course I'm right.
Because I'm right. Okay. No,
Grandmama.
we've got a helicopter going.
No, we got a helicopter. Maybe they're having a really intense paintball match.
All right.
Actually, paintball wars with helicopters would be crazy. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this back horizon line, which is pretty much around the middle of the canvas. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to mix up a little bit of cyan. Let me see what I wrote down for color.
You're right, Daniel. Paul is an NBA dork like you are.
It's true. All right, so we are basically creating our turquoise again.
Oh, good thing I made a giant pool of it, but now it's pretty dried up. So
Yeah,
need
so just
some more
refresh it, and I'm just going to
cyan.
add a little tiny bit of magenta to it. So it just shifts it to being a little bit gray. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, yeah, it's perfect. It should just be a little bit darker than your sky. And I'm going to start kind of on the right-hand side, work my way across. It's scooping a bit. Scooping on its way to the hoopin'.
Scoopy hoopy doo.
Scoopy hoopy doo. No, this painting is
Did you say, what did you add to it? Magenta?
Yeah, just a little bit of
Okay.
magenta. We don't want to make it brighter, we just want to make it darker. And I'm just going to kind of pull this color down.
Why did I not get the same color you did?
You need a little bit more cyan in yours. The magenta takes over in a hurry. So
Turns
just,
it kind of pink.
yeah. I'm just going to kind of brush this in. Kind of just,
Still not getting the right color.
you know what? I'm going to tell you what your problem is.
Yeah.
You put way too much paint at one time.
That shouldn't make a difference because I'm only mixing in one small area.
It does, though.
It does not.
Because if you put too much red in, then you got to compensate with too much blue.
Well, what does it need right now?
I think it's fine.
It doesn't look the same color.
It doesn't have to be the same color, just as long as it works on your
As long as
canvas.
it shows up. I don't think that's going to show up. I actually think I could add a tiny bit of black.
You're almost out of paint.
Okie dokie. I think I got it.
All right, cool.
So you created your back landscape.
Yeah, we're just creating our back horizon line. And it's okay if it kind of disappears a little bit as you work your way down. That's okay. Now, I'm going to switch brushes after I put that in because I want to put some trees in that are the same color. Now, I'm just going to switch to, let's go with our number 4. Number 4 is going to work good. We're going to use the same color.
Let me remove this.
What?
This.
You can't.
It's like blocking.
What?
It blocks the text coming in. I can't read it all.
I'm sorry. All right. And so I'm just basically going to take the same color that we just used, and I'm going to paint a few trees. Now, the trees in the background, I am not concerned about them being wonderful. I'm just going to take my color. I'm going to add a little bit of water so it flows a little better. And a trunk that kind of, then I added too much water, and now it's just not doing anything. Kind of a V shape. Yeah, I actually started lifting the paint. What is going on camera?
Oh, yeah, it's like autofocusing.
All right. So these are only just a couple inches tall. You can do kind of like your main trunk and a couple of extra branches.
Hey, there's a new Goosebumps tonight.
Oh, there is a new Goosebumps
I
tonight.
just realized.
The new series is pretty good.
The new series is really good.
I'm impressed.
Some of the older fans, which like you and I were too old for getting into it really,
Right.
because it was like Becky and Chris's age group, I think, that were really into it.
Millennials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them I've seen comments where they're, I like the old one better. We're just like, this is awesome.
You know, it's like us when we complain about Star Wars.
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right.
I like the original Star Wars better. And yeah, it just depends on what you grew up with. So most of all my trees are just gonna, and we can touch these trees up. I kind of had a little bit of water on my brush and it lifted the paint, but that's all right. Main kind of basic trunk. Got splits. And you can take your smallest brush too and just add a few little. It's too much water. Add a few little branches. Again, it doesn't really matter if these are pristine or perfect. We don't want them to be. And we're going to do some things that kind of minimize them. All right, camera, stop.
Why do you think it's doing that?
I bet you it's that pesky fly flying in there.
Oh, how funny.
No, I don't think it is. I was just joking. It's picking up strange frequencies from the helicopter.
Could be.
So anyway, I'm just throwing in some little, using my smallest brush, just throwing in some squiggly little
Branchy things.
branchy things. A lot of this we're gonna touch up as we go because we're gonna add more layers. We're gonna come back. We're gonna add some color and everything. So don't get too stressed out. Jenny, why don't you drag the YouTube window over the other because nobody's chatting on the other one anyway.
Okay. I don't think anyone's online on the website. Faith, I think it said she wasn't sure.
So make it a little wider so we can see the left-hand side of this.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
There you go. I just want to be able to see the time signature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what we're going to also do is we're going to take a little bit of some white and we are going to sketch in.
Daniel says the camera is a Star Wars prequels fan.
It is. We are going to take our number 8 real quick. And what we're going to do is we're going to sketch in this path. And this path is going to kind of change a little bit as we go. But for right now, we're just going to start with some white in our number 8. And I'm going to go ahead and go right up to our sky. And I'm just going to start just about the width of the brush, wiggling my way down. Again, we'll touch some of this up. And I'm going to come down about an inch. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to suddenly make this quite a bit wider. And I'm going to go ahead and switch now.
So this is a path.
Mm-hmm. Switch now to my bigger brush. And from here, I'm just going to kind of scribble in along this edge. Kind of come over to the right a little bit and then come back and we're going to kind of go for right about the middle of the canvas. Maybe a little bit right of the middle. Now this other side, we're going to kind of follow the same idea. And we're going to come in about 1.5 inches or so above the canvas. Now the reason we have it do narrow and then all of a sudden get wider is we're going to create a hillside that comes in here. So it looks like this is coming in and then tucking in behind the hillside and then getting bigger as it gets closer. And this is just really a preliminary giving us an idea of where we're going. It doesn't have to be perfect, but really get pretty aggressively squiggly. You can even kind of roughly fill it in. Don't really want to fill it in, but just kind of like let cut some of
You
those.
don't want to fill it in. You just kind of want to fill it in.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to fill it in with white.
Yeah.
Like as in like painting it just solid white.
My paint back here is a little too wet.
So this looks a little bit weird, but right when we get going, we're going to put a tree right here. And we're going to put a tree right here. And we'll be in good shape.
Oh, Kim has a question.
Okay.
I find it hard to commit to canvas. Is it okay to sketch it out first? It's absolutely okay, but some people don't love doing that. I know you're not one to sketch things out. I will sketch things out if I'm doing a pet portrait.
So this is my version of sketching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything can get covered up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you end up really liking your background and then you put a tree on there that you don't like, I think for all the background stuff, totally paint it on. But if you prefer to sketch with a pencil your tree shapes, I would think that would be fine.
Yeah, but the problem is you got to do it when it's dry, because if you just do it with the wet paint, it's just going to push the paint.
It'll leave a scratch mark that you can follow.
There's nothing wrong with sketching. We'll just put it at that.
Yeah, there's a lot of artists that do that. A lot of artists will use a Posca acrylic marker and pre-sketch their whole entire painting, so you just see what looks like a line drawing. And then they'll come through when that's dry and glaze over it with like a burnt sienna color, and then go in and paint everything in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool to see.
Yeah. It is indeed. It just kind of depends, because like I've seen people who sketch it into, and then when they're done painting, it looks very drawn. Too. So to each their own, though. All right, so I'm going.
That's right. You changed your name on YouTube. Instead of Kim Saltmarsh, it's now Kim Mark. Awesome.
There we go.
That's who we've got. Kim Mark, right there.
We're gonna mix up kind of our little bit darker color. So we're doing a little bit of green, blue, and a little bit more yellow, cyan, a little bit more yellow. And we're gonna add more violet. So it's basically all three of these colors. Pretty a large amount. It kind of creates a real dark grayish, almost green. And from this color, I'm gonna add a little bit of black to it too. Just a tiny little bit of black. So I want it to be a little bit darker. I want it to feel more gray than green. Now, I'm gonna start right of our path here. I'm gonna kind of go up. And this can actually even go over a little bit. You don't have to get that aggressive if you don't want to.
We're going down to where the path widens.
Yep. Now, from this one, I am going to brush this out.
Daniel sees a pit bull on the palette. Daniel, instead of this here channel, you should change your name to like Paradolia Daniel or something.
Manic pareidolia. That's not really pareidolia, though.
Yeah, it is.
Only when you see a human face, isn't it?
No. Pareidolia can be all kinds of things. It's just seeing. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is seeing faces.
I think it's just
seeing
seeing
faces and
faces, yeah.
shapes. I'd have to look up the actual like definition of it. So, did you add white under there?
No.
Oh, okay, you just let your brush run out.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I come in and get along the edge of my path, I'm going to go ahead and use this color, kind of squiggle over the edge so you don't have that white showing anymore.
Squiggle on the edge.
We're squiggling the edge. I am no Steven Tyler. I actually got like exaggeratedly big on this side over here.
Oh, thanks. Now the rest of us got exaggeratedly big.
Doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want.
Joking. I like it. I like it actually going over the back. But I feel like you have white in yours.
I don't.
I think you're maybe just picking up.
I really don't. It's probably
Picking up
it's
pathway.
picking up a little bit from the pathway, but not that much. Mostly, I don't have quite so much paint on my brush as you do. Now we're going to do a couple of trees on this layer too. Now the trick on this, we're going to use the same color. We want these trees, because they're starting a little lower than the trees in the background, we want these trees to go even a little bit higher. I'm going to go ahead and put one right on here. And I'm using my biggest brush.
Mark is on here now. Mark Saltmarsh. Mark Kim here, LOL. Perfect. Kim Mark and Mark Kim. Perfect.
So I'm just going a little bit taller. Not a lot bigger. I kind of want these trees to be more spindly and thin, like Jack Skellington, rather than doing chonky trees.
The thing against chunky trees.
No, but I want these to be more spindly and skeletal feeling.
Skeletal. Okay. Add a little
Now
water.
you can use your smallest brush, and Jenny said she's adding a little bit of water. You can add a little tiny bit of water, and you can do a little bit more. Again, these trees don't really matter too much. They're there, but they are not the star of the show.
They're the extras in the movie.
They're the extras waiting for the cab on the street. I'm really only going to do like 3 of these a little bit bigger ones. Like 2 on the right. Let's do 1 on the left. This one I'm going to put just kind of between this other tree and the moon. You want the moon?
Are you going Jimmy Stewart again?
Or, throw a lasso around it.
Does he say that?
I'll give you the moon. I don't know. I'm not really feeling my Jimmy Stewart tonight, so we're just going to leave it at that. Now we're going to commit to another 27 years of marriage. Bringing us up to a grand total of 54.
What are our parents at now? Both our parents are still married.
We're in that territory.
Yeah. I think my parents got married in 1969.
My parents got married in 64.
64.
Wait for round 2?
Mm-mm.
These are not very good.
Unlike you, I don't guzzle.
These are not very good.
Let's see. I missed a couple questions here. You want the moon, Mara? I'll lasso the moon for you. I'll live again. I can't do the accent as good as you guys. Will you be turning your clocks back in November? Oh, do we have a choice?
No,
How does that work?
I think we still do.
Still do it.
But I think it might be the last time.
Huh.
I don't know. We haven't decided.
Our son loves the time changes, and he loves numbers, and he will stay awake and watch and film his clock changing from it goes backwards, and he thinks that's the funniest thing ever. Like to have it change from midnight to 11 or whatever.
All right. So the next step is we are going to take our biggest brush now. We are going to suppress a belch.
Daniel, oh, gross, Paul. My parents got married in 66. Almost made it to 57 years. Aw.
All right. Largest brush. Black.
Largest brush, black paint. Okay.
Black paint. Now, these 2 trees. Let me just bring this dude back in here. These are just our front 2 trees. We're just going to do 2.
Okay.
These ones we're going to put a little bit more attention into, but again, we don't want to get too detailed with them.
They're big and go off the top of the canvas.
They do.
And they're like big old oak trees or something.
Big old spooky trees.
Snags.
Yeah. So if you end up covering a tree in the background, don't worry about it. we always put them there just in case. So I'm going to go ahead and start right here, and I'm going to go just to the left of this tree. It's going to cover that tree in the background. It's okay. And I am just going to crookedly work my way up. Trunk.
You ruined it. I'm just kidding.
I have done that before, actually. Not really ruined it, but felt like it.
So this can be a pretty twisty, turny tree.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go, like I've got this little bend right here, so I'm going to kind of start coming up my trunk again. Actually, I'm going to make this a little bit wider, and I'm going to let it branch off to the left there. Now, at the bottom here, what I want you to do is this tree just kind of looks like it's floating. I'm just going to brush this out.
Like it's wearing a little bell bottom.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take this black and even just kind of scrub it out into the background a bit.
So it sort of disappears.
Yeah. We'll come back in later and add the highlights to the tree, which will kind of bring that back into play. I've got this little bit of shatter. That's okay. You can switch brushes. I like the number 8. Number 4 works really good. And what I'm going to try to do is, like, there are some rules to doing these branches and stuff. I try not to do more than 2 branches at an intersection. You do more than 2 and it starts looking a little cluttered. So I'm going to go ahead and do another branch that kind of comes off like this. And you can have it branch off a couple more times. And I like to go ahead and just have some of these go off the canvas. You can have one kind of go over like so. But in general, where I feel like a lot of people really struggle with these is they get too heavy-handed and do short, fat branches. And I want these to be long and spindly. Like, stretch them out further than you think you want to.
So, Daniel, when you went up to the cabin recently, was that your first time without your dad there? I'm just curious. That cabin has total Camp Crystal Lake vibes, just saying. Based on I've never been there, but the pictures.
Kind of does.
This is the right time of year to go there. If you want to be spooked. First time since he died, not without him. Oh, you've gone up solo. Is it like kind of spooky there, solo?
I think his brother was up there with him.
Tamaracks have started to turn. What are tamaracks? Tamarack. I know that name. Is it a tree? They use, like, there's Tamarack Lane in Sun River. Okay,
Yes.
a tree.
All right, so the other thing I like to do is we can do kind of a little spooky little branch that kind of comes up right here.
If there's no moon outside, it's dark as hell. Yeah. Spooky. Have you ever had any spooky experiences up there? Since it's almost Halloween, you gotta tell us a spooky story. I think you did one time, if I remember. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of a movie.
No, I think there was something.
Yeah, I thought there was something. Evergreen tree that needles turn yellow in the fall. Wow, that's cool.
All right, so that's enough for that tree. That's enough of that.
Story time, Daniel.
Now, I'm going to do one more tree. That's, again, kind of along the side over here. And I'm actually going to have it kind of come up and split. So it's going to kind of start like right about here. Come up like this, split, split. This one's a little bit more chunky.
Body shaming the trees, good lord.
Newsflash, these painted trees don't have feelings.
Okay. A few years back, I was up there alone and heard voices in the room that was my grandparents' room, and I was the only one there. That would be slightly terrifying. I don't get scared super easy, but that might do it. Hearing voices when you're there by yourself, that's kind of a... Middle of the night, had to go to the bathroom, which was right next to their old room, so I quickly left my room and saw a figure going back towards the bathroom and decided I didn't need to go that bad because you already went, probably. That's a little scary, so I wonder who the figure was. Do you think it was a grandparent, or do you think it was something else? That's got my curiosity piqued.
Abort, abort, bladder abort.
But really, this lake is, the pictures that you post are very, I mean, it has a horror movie setting feel.
In a good way.
I mean, it's absolutely stunning. But yeah, they could film a horror movie there at night. It's like cabin in the woods. Okay. Catching up. Oh, Daniel says he thinks it was his grandmother. Oh, my sister a few years back when I was there totally heard someone knocking on her door loudly and got up to check the door, and there was no one there, and it was pitch black. Oh, that's fun.
That is not fun.
Yeah, the knocking. I can deal with ghosts. It's like the idea of there being like real people out there in the middle of nowhere. That's where I'd be like, now I'm terrified.
So don't get too busy with this. I've already done that. Same thing, bottom edge here.
That's not the F word I'd use to describe it. Fun. This reminds me, Paul, what I'm doing here reminds me of, remember last night when we were on our walk and I said that streetlight area would make such a cool painting where the branches curve inwards and the streetlight's right in the middle? That's the vibe I'm going for right now. You're going to meet in the middle. We left our dad up there in ash form, and I hope to see an old man in a flannel shirt walking around the cabin via your cameras. That would be really cool.
You know, it would be like the weirdest kind of haunting like that, or spirit, would be just an old man that gets up and uses the bathroom in the middle of the night.
That would be you as a ghost. So the ghosts are like, you know, usually depicted as, oh, they're in like 1800s clothing and whatnot. What's it going to be like when like there's like Gen Z ghosts?
I don't know. Hoodies and flannel pajama pants.
There you go.
All right, next step. We can work on that later. Nice thing about doing the black branches, you can always add those anytime. We need to get our base color for our path in.
Okay.
So we're going to use our biggest brush. I'm going to take magenta, cyan, yellow ochre. Too much yellow ochre. Let's go more. The other two.
Oh, let's see. We left him with a view of the lake, knowing it's what he'd want. And if you don't mind me, I'm going to stop talking about that so the onion monster doesn't visit me.
Those darn
What about
onion...
hipster ghosts with the huge beard and artisan teeth? That's right.
That darn onion chopping bandit is on the loose again, that bastard. All right, so I'm kind of just mixing up this kind of taupey kind of color.
Oh, can you tell us again what colors you mixed to make that?
Magenta,
Yep.
cyan, ochre, a little bit of black. Oh, wait, no black, just white.
Magenta, cyan, a
Yellow
little bit of
ochre.
ochre, and white.
Yeah.
Okay. How much of this are we going to need? Oh, I guess we're
Not-
filling in the path. Okay.
Not that much. Not as much as you think you're going to need. Okay.
I know my palette. Here, I'll show you guys my palette. This is what becomes of mine. Okay, Daniel, what are we looking at here?
Okay, now you're just blocking.
I know, it's a guy, and he's in a gunny sack race.
You're dripping stuff all over.
No, my brushes. Okay, magenta, cyan,
I got a little bit. It should lean
yellow
lavender.
ochre. Okay. Oh, and you added white too. I like how we like abandoned our palette knives like after the first
I never used it.
video. We were like done.
I never used it on any of them. That was all you.
It was me trying to keep my paint from. Let's see if I have the right color. Trying to keep my paint from polluting it too much.
I'm just going to kind of scrub a little bit of this in on here too.
Ooh,
I got a little carried away, but that's all right.
Okay.
We got more layering we're going to do.
We just pretty much want to cover up our white.
Yep. Again, I got carried away on that back path part, but that's okay. I'm going to take a little bit of extra white real quick. And just kind of mix it in to our color right there. Just to brighten that little edge up. Just a smidge.
One of the skulls from Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
I can see that.
Oh, I see it now. It's like profile, dark green.
Mm-hmm. And this kind of just is a dirty, silly putty color right now. You can take a little tiny bit of black, kind of mix it in along this edge. We're going to do more of this once this dries, where we kind of build up some shadows and stuff like that. Build some shadows. Have to do it. You audibly eye rolled.
Is that what that sigh was?
I think that's what that was.
So you added a little black to add some shadadados.
You know, it just feels good to say it that way.
My path is becoming a monster.
All right. Let me figure out where we're at. Yeah, we're in good shape. We're in good shape. So the one thing you have to be careful of is this becoming a big soupy mess.
Too late.
So if it starts becoming a soupy mess, leave it alone.
Late.
Not too late. You can just walk away.
Okie dokie.
What?
Mine too, Daniel.
What?
Daniel says his path is turning into Paul's cat.
Yeah. So here's the secret on that. Just leave it. Like, don't do more right now.
Mine's just kind of looks like an upside down tornado that's gotten like to F6 level.
All right. Next step. We're going to move on to the next step so we don't get obsessed and locked in.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to mix up a little bit of cyan with a little yellow ochre and a tiny amount of black.
Cyan, yellow, ochre, and black.
Yeah, maybe a
You
little
keep
bit.
using cyan tonight. This is a cyan-based painting.
Yeah.
Cyan, yellow ochre. So our last one was cyan, yellow ochre, and white.
Yep.
And now, are you making just kind of a army green?
Leaning more blue.
Okay.
Like, not very much yellow ochre. Like, if you look, it's really just like an off,
Yeah.
almost turquoise, but
I think I'm close. It's not really turquoise, but
yeah.
deep
But
teal.
here's the key, you guys. Right now, I'm gonna zoom in.
Okay.
The key that this is where we have a lot of trouble with paintings like this. We don't want very much paint on this brush. Almost none. So I'm gonna wipe it off on my palette. And what I'm gonna do is very lightly cut across my horizon there just a little bit. We're going to narrow this path. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this color right along the horizon so it's a little darker. I'll wipe my brush off so there's hardly any paint. And we're just going to kind of softly...
Is this supposed to be like moss and stuff?
It's just color. Don't
Okay.
don't overthink it. It's not representing anything. It's just...
It must represent something.
It does not need to. You know what it represents? Contrast.
Okay. I can live with that. And are you going all the way across the horizon or just around the path?
Nope, all the way across.
Okay.
Very softly kind of blend it out into your background color so it leaves a little bit of this lighter color down below. Let me see if that's glaring a little bit. It's not too bad.
And then we don't get the sharp edges back there because technically this is one thing that I am not struggling, but I'm working on is to not have super sharp edges.
Right.
Because that's where I end up being too neat. And I always think my paintings look too neat.
Yeah.
So this is
less paint is usually the key to doing that softer.
Less paint and kind of hazing it out a little bit.
Now I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of this color and kind of run it up the tree a little bit. Just so it doesn't feel like it's just kind of stuck on. I create a little bit of a shadow line along the edge of your path a bit. And what you can do with this color is just kind of add some blotches. You still want it to have the separation between the layers. It can kind of fade out. We're going to do more with this. This is just kind of a foundational thing right now. Add a little bit to this trunk. But we don't want to get so heavy that we can't put shadows in. So
Which trunk did you just add to? Like that one back
these
there?
two back ones. Now I'm going to take add a little bit more black. And kind of do the same thing to this next layer so it's got a little bit more separation from the layer behind it. But you don't want to be pure black because you don't want to...
Here he goes again. The same ATV? It sounds like a motorcycle.
No, it's the same one.
Are we coming up along the edge of the path with this color too?
We're going to in a minute.
Okay. Do you think I have enough black mixed in there?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're going to switch to our number 4. I'm going to zoom out. I'm just going to slide my canvas up there. Sounds like there's more than one.
Yay! Not. Okay. Got
All
my
right.
number 4.
Number 4, pure black. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay.
A little bit. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a little like shadow line underneath the edge of our foliage and stuff. So just take a little bit of black, and what you can do is put a fairly hard little line in there. And if you want to soften the edge up, you can. But this starts to build our dimension. And I kind of take my brush and I keep it fairly horizontal. This side you're not going to have quite as much. Well, we're going to do highlights on it too, and the highlights can hang over. But you can kind of soften it up. Do the same thing over on this other side, just a little hangover. You don't need to do that on the back part, and that's actually part of what creates the distance for the path. You can kind of use this shadow to kind of close this up a little bit right here. There you go. So what you can do is like here, I've got this kind of darker patch here. You throw this black in though, and it creates like separation. Place for it right along here. Now we're going to throw, we're not going to throw, we're going to paint in some highlights and stuff. You'll see like on this original one, we paint in some green and then some yellow ochre to create more depth of color. And this dark shadow just will kind of, some of this will kind of lay over the edge of that. Now, we're going to go ahead and start doing that. And I'm going to use my number 8. And I'm not going to worry about this far back area. I don't want to get too much color going in there. We'll add some of the yellow ochre in there in a bit. I guess I had more trees in the back, you know, in the original one. And maybe I'll put a couple in.
Yeah, I feel like it could use some back there.
Yeah, actually, before we do this next step, get your number 8 and clean it off really good. Because what I want to do is I want to get the moon in and I want to get it painted in, and then we'll add those trees back in.
Okay.
So I'm just going to use some white in my number 8. And if you want to look up a picture of the moon,
We'll just trust you know what it looks like.
yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You could even make it look like a skull if you wanted to. That would be kind of fun.
Jack Skellington would be easier. Easier, but maybe wouldn't necessarily go. Well, I don't know. I guess it could go with this.
Did you see that thing I sent you the other day, the theory about the corpse bride?
Yeah, I've seen that before. Makes sense.
Frankenweenie, Corpse Bride, and Nightmare Before Christmas.
They're all Jack Skellington at different stages. He's the kid in Frankenweenie. He's, gosh, what's his name? And he's the groom in The Corpse Bride. And he's Jack Skellington in Death. I wonder what the dark side of the moon looks like.
There's pictures.
You just don't, like it doesn't come to mind.
Well, just because you haven't seen it that
Yeah,
much.
because like the side of the moon we see has a real heavy, dark patchy area on the left.
Sea of Tranquility.
Yeah, the Sea of Tranquility.
Now you can mix up a little bit of a
Such a pretty name.
kind of a lavendery color. Kind of play up some of these craters. So we went to Evil Dead the Musical last weekend.
That's right. Yeah. Gosh, it seems like it was longer ago, but you're right. It was just last weekend. Saturday night. It was fun.
We got coated in fake blood.
Yeah, we sat in the splatter zone, and
That was a lot of fun.
the fake blood was like super, super light pink Kool-Aid. It looked like pink lemonade, because obviously they don't want to stain you with something that you can't get out of your clothes. And it was fun. I think Greta thought there was a lack of blood.
Yeah. She was a little disappointed in the amount of blood.
Actually, the dark side of the moon looks far more pockmarked, but with significantly smaller craters, almost like how Mercury looks. Interesting.
Because I know off the top of my head what Mercury looks like.
You don't know?
No.
Hey, where's Joanna? Joanna was supposed to be on here tonight. She said she was going to reject going to the casino. It must have won over.
She's on a hot streak, baby.
The winnings were singing.
All right, I'm not going to do more with my moon. Feels a little washed out on the camera, but it doesn't look like it on my canvas, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You'll have to excuse me for a moment.
Truly is adding up. Truly is truly adding up. So while Paul's gone, I should actually paint something secretive on his canvas and see if he'll notice when he comes back. I'm just working on the moon on mine. I recently had to paint a round canvas. It was like 28 inches to look like the moon for a musical, Addams Family musical. And my gosh, that thing accidentally turned out really good. It was one of those where it came together, and I was surprised at how well it turned out. It was well enough that my son wanted it in his bedroom. My moon doesn't look spooky enough.
That's all right. We'll get it. Right now, it looks a little bit washed out because we haven't done the shading in the top of the canvas yet. So, next thing I want to do is I want to kind of mix up kind of a color similar to what we just used here. I'm going to use my number 4. So it's that kind of like cyan.
Ochre.
Yeah, mostly cyan and magenta with just a touch of ochre. Maybe a little bit of white in there too, just to soften it up. No, we need more cyan. Because I am going to go ahead and just add in a couple extra little trees because I kind of lost them too much.
Is that your color you just made?
Yeah, and I'm going to use my smallest brush because I want to have a little bit more control. a little bit too dark, but I'm not going to worry about it. You can use this color now to make kind of like a shadow underneath your little tree. One. Let's do another one over here. These are honestly, you could do a lot of these in this back area. You just want to make sure they're not too dark. Don't want them to be too blue.
And more grayish.
Yeah. I think even in the original, it even looks like I've got some almost like fir trees looking in the background. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that as well. I much prefer like just adding a little bit of this kind of like scribbly kind of chatter along this horizon line over leaving it really stark and straight.
Like shrubs and things.
Yeah, it just kind of softens it up.
Makes it woodsy.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Forest chatter.
Now I'm going to take my number 8 and I'm going to mix up almost like the color we started with in the sky. A little cyan, a little bit of yellow, some white. It can be a little bit darker than our sky color. Maybe even a little bit more on the yellowish side. And I'm just going to take my number 8 and just really lightly kind of blotch in. Are you paying attention, Jenny?
Yeah, I'm answering Greta.
I'm going to kind of scrub some of this in here. And I'm also going to take a little bit of this color. Kind of scrub it in. Just some splotches.
Teal fog.
It's not fog, it's like under...
Oh, I was making trees in my background, but they accidentally turned into zombies. Now, Daniel, that's a happy little accident. That's awesome.
It is a happy little...
Actually, you should show your zombie painting. It's over there somewhere.
Oh.
I mean, I can dig it out in a second.
I think it's on the cart right there.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of like... I look at it and I go, oh, that was fun, but man, it was not very well executed.
It was hard to teach.
We never got a lot of people that signed up for it either.
No, very few, because I think
People aren't into that.
Didn't want to pay, even though like Walking Dead was in its heyday then, it just come out. So we kind of thought, oh yeah, we'll get a lot of people in for zombie painting.
So we need to kind of zoom in on what's going on here. I'm not really painting in solid, I'm just kind of adding some little streaks of this color over the dark, letting the dark show. It just adds a little foundation for when we start adding our real color. And you can see I'm leaving that dark edge, edges.
He's also using an extremely small amount of paint.
Yeah. Very little pressure.
It feels annoying, like the way your brush kind of drags around and like hardly anything comes out of it. But
that's what you want, though.
Yeah, if you try to use more, then you just end up with too bright of splotches.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to add just a little bit more yellow ochre, a little bit of yellow ochre to this. So it kind of almost creates like canned peas.
Ooh.
And
Tasty.
I'm just going to start very lightly. Let me zoom in. Actually going to add a little bit more yellow ochre. Just very lightly. Now, what I'm going to start looking at, though, is I'm going to start looking at the moon and how it relates to these trees. So, like, these trees, there's going to be light that shines in between going at angles from the middle of the moon. So, like, I'm going to start...
Are these the highlights we're painting?
Yeah. Adding some little highlights that kind of follow those moon rays. Don't want to get too precise, but...
What made you pick this color for that? Just out of curiosity.
Because that's kind of the color it would be.
Huh.
Yours is a little bit more.
Is mine wrong?
No, it's fine. A little heavy.
A little heavy-handed.
Yeah. And this is real blotchy.
Yes, we have watched iZombie. I love the guy who's the mortician in that. That actor. He's great.
So this is one of those things where just getting a little bit of the color on there is fine. Less is more. You don't want to paint this solid. You just want hints. Just a little whisper here, a little whisper there of this kind of color. Now we're going to hit this a little harder in the foreground. We want this to feel a little bit more washed out in the background because it's further away. We're not picking up as much color, especially since the lighting's not as good. That's good.
Okay, I'm gonna run over and grab your 2011, no, 2012
12
zombie.
or 13 or something.
I think it was 12. I think it was the first year of business for Van Gogh. Actually, no, 2011 was the first year.
Yeah, it would have been the second. I wasn't teaching that early.
I think we maybe have shown this before.
Maybe.
You managed to zoom way out.
Oh, this is like, ooh, boy, this has got all kinds of...
Oh, must have been on the floor.
This is actually, I think,
Warehouse
the
floor.
last one I taught. There's all kinds of dust and stuff on it.
You know, I think it was sitting on the warehouse floor
Yeah.
before you put it on the curtain.
So this is the last version of it we taught. So I added, like, the skull and the fog and...
It's Seattle, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, because you can see there's
Oh,
the Coin
Portland,
Center
yeah.
and the Convention Center.
It seems like you did one that was Seattle.
I did do the Seattle one time where I had the Space Needle in the background because I was like, if an zombie apocalypse was going to start, it would start in Seattle. And actually, I look at that and I go, wow, I've come a long ways in 10 years.
Yes, that is dark, very dark. I agree, Kim. One of the probably the darkest painting we ever taught.
Yeah, probably. The funny thing is like I am not a horror movie person.
No, he likes happy animal movies.
Yeah, and partly I had some really pretty vivid graphic nightmares growing up that plagued me, and so I don't really feel like I need to see it on the big screen and stuff. And I don't know what caused them, but they just were there, and some of them are recurring, and so I've just like never been like really into horror movies because I dealt with it as a kid. And but when I do paint spooky things, I do like to paint spooky things here and there.
That looks like something from Thunder the Barbarian.
Totally. I should actually redo that painting, but not to teach.
I don't know. Some people on the YouTube channel might like.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Put it on our old. No, I shouldn't say old, but our other YouTube channel.
But
one we used to use.
But I mean, like, do it with my new, like, my 12 years advanced skill since the first
Go
time.
for it. You're getting tight. There's only like 12 days left to Halloween.
Oh no, I was thinking for next year.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm gonna go to my number 8. And we're going to start just doing some just plain old yellow ochre.
You look like you need a new paper towel.
Yeah. Just some straight up yellow ochre. And really I'm thinking like, okay, this is the edge here.
Are we using
You know,
very
not
little
painting it.
paint?
Let me zoom in. This is going to be really important because I've almost got too much paint on my brush there. But what I'm going to do is just kind of pick up some of the paint. I don't want you to feel like you're outlining. That's kind of something that's tends to be a challenge. And so I'm just going to kind of start along this top edge. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off and just kind of dab into the yellow ochre and just bring some little dabs in, work my way down. You can do a little bit right along the edge if you want to. You can add a little bit extra, like maybe there's a little bump here.
Daniel says, I totally had a nightmare up at our cabin that I was in a room trapped and I had to escape in complete darkness. Kim says, Daniel, you've had so many spooky happenings at your cabin. I'm surprised you still go. Yeah, I'm surprised too. My worst nightmares are I have real bad claustrophobia, and they're always like I'm walking into a room and I turn around and like everything's like closing in on me, and they're like solid like plaster walls. But the other night I had a dream I was someone else, which is really weird. I've never had that before, and I dreamt I was a woman going
No, hold
through
on,
the.
hold that thought.
Okay.
This moonlight is coming across
Okay.
here. This tree is going to cast a shadow from the base of the tree going out away from the moon. So when you do these highlights, be aware of that. Okay, continue.
I dreamt I was a woman in the Great Depression. It was so weird, just like out of nowhere dream, but I'm suddenly someone else. So strange.
So this is this part that we're doing right now, real dabby.
It's life regression.
So I started my first nightmares I recall I had when I was about second grade. And I remember them.
Sell. Real estate is booming, says Kim. Daniel says, well, I'm only 12.5% of an owner, but I'll put the spooky crap for the view. Is it you and your siblings that own it? Surely you're more than 12.5%, right? You don't have that many siblings.
Cousins and uncle.
Oh, they're part of it too?
Yeah, because his grandparents built it.
Don has cousins. Oh, that's right.
So the nice thing is, like, if you get too carried away with any of this, you can always kind of come back and darken it up. You know, you could come in like, here, I'll just try something real quick. Let's make a deep violet. You could kind of throw some deep violet. Actually, that looks really cool. And throw some of this in here too. My memory, my first nightmare I had when I was like in second grade is being chased by a motorcycle gang of skeletons who were pulling their ribs off and throwing them like boomerangs.
Oh, that's awesome.
And literally like disemboweling people and stuff.
Okay, that's not as awesome.
Yeah.
I was envisioning it as like a cartoon thing.
No, it was pretty graphic actually.
Where did you put the purple?
Not disemboweling, dismembering people. Just in some spots.
Don't know which is worse. Just in some spots? Okay. That's such a random answer.
Oh no, just like the purple.
Yeah.
I'm just using it to soften up some of the
Oh, I
darker
see.
areas.
I heard you talking about doing that, like if you had too much yellow ochre.
Yeah. Yeah, so I started having that particular nightmare, and I had that one several times, and it started when I was about 7 or 8. And that was very vividly graphic in my mind, and so...
No dowdy cousins. Uncle owns 50%, my siblings and I each own 12.5%. Huh.
All right, so that's about all I'm really going to do. Like, I almost did too much of that yellow, if you did, like, I've got a little bit, quite a bit going on in here. Again, you can take your number 8, you can take a little bit of violet, you can take a little bit of black, whatever you can kind of pop some in.
My first nightmare was a post-apocalyptic neighborhood where I ended up finding my mom's severed head in a fire pit and people chasing me around. It's no wonder I can't read the rest of that because that heart is in the way. It's no wonder I am the man I am. Is that what it says? I can't tell. There's the like big heart emoji in the way of the last part of the sentences, so I have to guess a lot of times.
Post one more thing and then we'll be able to see it.
Yeah, because it stays in the same place. Yep, the way that I am, the way I am. Okay.
Ew.
My first nightmare was I was in a backyard swimming pool and found an underground city underneath, and it was like whatever was going on down there was like horror stuff.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I wonder if how much of that's triggered by seeing things on TV as a kid that we weren't emotionally ready to see?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
How much of it's just random?
Well, yours could have been because your house was legit haunted.
Well, that could be.
When you were growing up.
That could be.
Paul was one of those kids that had several imaginary friends, and he could describe them in full detail, and like he'd have his favorite toy, which he slept with every night and brought everywhere, would disappear, and everyone in the house would have to stop everything to find it because he's just a little kid and he won't go to bed, crying, all that. I've heard these stories from your mom and sister. And then suddenly the toy would be right in the middle of the hallway.
This would be a great time for my sister to actually be online.
Where everybody had passed through hundreds of times. And it was always, Poppy did it, or, that was one of his imaginary friends was Poppy, who had red hair. And in fact, your mom made Christmas ornaments of based on your description of your...
Yeah, Poppy. Well, just Poppy.
Okay, yeah, so there's a Christmas ornament of Poppy.
And there was Heavy, and Heavy ate the third one.
Yes, so there were 3, and one of them ate the other.
Yeah.
So
little cannibal.
You were quite the interesting child.
a little bit of some imaginary friends cannibalism.
Like, was that traumatic for you that he ate the other one?
I mean, I don't like horror movies, so maybe. I don't know. All right, so let's we're kind of getting into that, getting close to being done. We're really just kind of like final details territory. One of the things that's going to come into play here is we need to do our little scarecrow. So let's lay our scarecrow out first. And we're just going to use black. And this is going to, I'm just going to use my number 4 brush. And so this is actually, I wish I had the haunted house from last year, but this jack-o'-lantern is, I kind of developed that.
I think I've got it on the shelf.
That's all right. Technique from the haunted house last year, and I really liked it because it's like...
I'm going to go look, so I'm going to get another one of these.
It's... I'll zoom in. There's just a little hint of orange to know that it's a pumpkin. It's really the shape and then the eyes and the mouth, and there's not a lot more to it. So if we're looking at this guy as what we're looking at, it's really just kind of like a cross that's really jagged and uneven, and it's just got a pumpkin for the top. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to use my number 4. I'm going to put his head right about here. Just kind of pumpkin shaped. I don't think it's over there. It's all right. And this is going to kind of come down. Yeah, so here, we've got them here. Oops. There we go.
I love that painting.
Similar type of pumpkin. And at Jenny's, Jenny's on this one are way more intense, and I actually think that would be really good for this one too. So I'm not trying to be. I want this to be really jaggedy. Arms going out to the side. And then as far as like making it look like clothes, all I really did was just kind of take the number 4, a little bit of black to start with, and just kind of scribble down. You put the little stem on top. You can use your smaller brush if you want to. So that's going to be that for the start. If you wanted to kind of rush things along a bit, you could take like some yellow ochre and put a couple dots. So I got a little carried away with the mouth, but let's undo that. So it actually looks kind of funny. I'm just going to put some black. Kind of C-3PO eyes right now. Do you remember the... I can't see what that says. Let's stretch this out a little further, Jenny. There's a way to do this.
Do you remember the Disney movie Scarecrow?
Oh.
Do you remember that?
No, not really.
I don't really. It rings a bell, but I don't fully remember.
I will say, though, that the Scarecrow episode of Supernatural was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was good.
All right. So that's all we've got for right now. Just real simple.
The shoulder looks like the Scarecrow people.
It's like C-3PO.
Pretty creepy.
So I was noticing that on yours, your colors of the eyes are really intense. So I just put yellow ochre on there as a placeholder for now. And actually, I'm going to use my smallest brush and do the same thing for the mouth. We'll come back and intensify that in a bit. What?
Daniel says the Scarecrow might be the best part of his. Now you're going to have to post it.
That's actually my favorite part of the painting. Like, it's like you've got all this other stuff, and then you've just kind of got this random Scarecrow in the middle of the road.
Yeah, I decided to move mine over.
I think at one point in time I had envisioned doing like a milepost marker or something here, but it just never made it in.
Milepost 666.
Right.
Greta and I were talking about the Stephen King movie, Sometimes They Come Back. Remember we watched it last year?
I don't remember that one.
That's like the greasers in it, and they always did that funny laugh. They're like laughing at everything.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
they're the ones that like were bullies, and they died because they got hit by a train, but then they came back. And
Gotcha. Okay. Next step. We're getting close to done here.
uh-oh. I better hustle.
Yeah, get your Scarecrow.
I'm getting him.
So that's kind of why I called this one Spooky Hollow, is the whole like pumpkin head, which I understand. Like I actually read about or saw a video about this, that in Sleepy Hollow, the old who wrote Sleepy Hollow?
Washington Irving.
Yeah. The Headless Horseman never had a jack-o'-lantern head. Never
really?
carried a jack-o'-lantern.
Really? I don't
In
remember.
the story
I read it a long
where
time ago.
Ichabod
Crane.
was disappeared, they found a broken pumpkin. And so over time, people
It
have
just became
made
a-
it so that, yeah, he had a pumpkin head under his arm, whatever.
Huh.
Anyway, so my idea on this was to make it feel like, okay, here's our kind of our road that Ichabod would have gone along, and then here's the pumpkin in the form of a scarecrow, and so it's not Sleepy Hollow, so it's Spooky Hollow. That's where I came up with all that. So, okay.
This has a Doctor Who feel to it too.
Oh, I can see that.
But I'm a Whovian, so I see Doctor Who everywhere.
So I'm taking my number 8 real quick. I'm going to take a little bit of black. And this corner over here, the tree's going to cast a shadow, but I want this to kind of blend up to create a deep shadow that goes up. So tree starting my shadow going this way. I want this to just kind of fade out as it goes up.
What color are you using?
Just black.
Okay. And you're just kind of blurring out the bottom of your tree? Is that right?
No, I cast a shadow this way,
shadow, okay.
and then I'm softly fading this color out along the right side.
Okay.
Gonna do the same thing with the other tree.
So,
Shadows coming this way.
Curious, is it just to make it deepen darker shadows?
Yeah, so when we put our spooky eyeballs in.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe this tree has a root that comes out over here or something. We'll figure that out. Gotta always have our little nooks and crannies for our
For the spooky eyeballs.
for the spooky critters. Now I'm gonna take my black and let's add a little bit of yellow ochre to it and a little bit of magenta to it. Kind of makes it kind of a really dark brown. And I'm just gonna kind of smudge some of this color in along over here. It could actually go a little bit darker. You could add more. You could add a little bit of blue to it too if it feels too brown. Yeah, a little bit of blue is nice. Almost too much, but.
What's your color you're using?
Right here.
Oh, so you mean the actual dark brown.
Almost a little too dark. So if you want to add a little bit of white to soften it up a bit. The main thing is we want it to be darker than our path. And I've got the ever-growing pool.
Like mine.
Yeah. And this just really kind of can you can smudge some of this color in here and there. Kind of what?
Daniel says, "Ha! I didn't know you were going to do the eyes there, but I was totally going to do a nice set of red glowing eyes there." Oh, great minds think alike, I guess. Great artistic minds.
You need to re-enhance some of the black along the edge here. You can. If you want to cast some shadow from your trees, please do. You want to use some of this color that you just used for this to create your shadows from this tree. Go for it. You can do the same
Thought of
thing.
something. Can you imagine a haunted cruise ship that, like, it takes you out to the middle of wherever you're going? You're in the middle of the ocean and you can't escape, and you've got like, it's like not being able to escape a haunted house for like a week.
That's crazy. That would not be fun.
Some people would like it.
I always think it's funny, like we watch these paranormal investigators and stuff on like YouTube and stuff, and they're like, "We're investigating the haunted hotel," and it's like all the people that are on it from the hotel are like staff members, and they advertise their hotel as being haunted, and it's like Yeah, I don't know why they're doing this video. It's almost like they want people to think it's haunted so they'll come stay there.
Yeah, exactly why they're doing it. It's all a grift. Actually, you should tell how you have memories from the Queen Mary ship, and your parents are like, you've never been there.
Well, I know I've never been there.
Yeah.
Because we never went to Los Angeles. So I have memories of visiting the Queen Mary.
Which is the haunted ghost ship harbored in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I've had memories of visiting it since I was very little, like 4, 5, 6 years old. I remember visiting it, but we never went to Los Angeles when I was a kid. In fact, I've never visited the Queen Mary. Ever.
Well, we should go visit it, then you can, like, see.
I don't know. Greta was like, no.
Because we just watched The Haunting of the Queen Mary movie that came out recently. It was
So
had potential, but it was trying too hard to be artsy.
Take this same color and add a bunch of white to it. The same color that you just used. Very sparingly.
No, we were going on a cruise in November. That's what Kim says.
Very sparingly use this lighter color.
Daniel says there's a haunted ship off San Diego. Maybe that's the one.
I've never been to San Diego either.
Is it Queen Mary off of San Diego?
No.
It's in California.
I didn't go to...
We are far from San Diego. Yes, you are.
I never went to, like, anything south of, like, Crescent City until I was a teenager. And then we went to Disneyland, and we never went and visited any of those things.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
So.
But you said you saw pictures, like, I think we watched that one Shane and Ryan episode, and you saw what it looked like on the inside.
Yeah, I remember what it looked like on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You're just a spoopy kind of guy.
Unless there's a ship like that. No, if there's a ship like that in, like, Vancouver, BC, then that could be what I'm remembering.
I don't know.
All right. So I'm just enhancing this side of the path with that little bit, that same color with some white added. And then I'm going to take a little tiny bit of just some pure white. I got a little too heavy there. If you get too heavy with it, you can always lift it with the brush. And just add some little pops.
Kim, where are you guys going on your cruise in November? I love that idea of just like your kids are grown and you're empty nesters. Just go on lots of cruises. I mean, the food's all included in it. I love that. I loved our honeymoon cruise when we met.
Maybe we
So
should
many
do that for our
interesting
30th.
people. Okay. Got 3 years.
Yeah. So just a little bit. You could do a little tiny bit in this back one, but very sparing. Like, you don't want it to really take over. All right. That feels pretty good to me.
Oh, Paul ate at I think you're thinking of the White House restaurant, maybe? Is that the one that's supposed to be
Oh,
haunted?
I ate at the White House.
Yeah.
In Anaheim.
Oh, but Daniel said San Diego.
No, I've never been to San Diego.
What was that?
I'm gonna look.
Be like, we're live streaming. Yeah, you ate at you went, when Paul's dad was working for Fred Meyer Kroger, some of you guys know it as Kroger. They did a lot of traveling.
I think it's the helicopter fuel.
No.
Yeah, so for those of you not in the Portland area, Fred Meyer is owned by Kroger now and is kind of a big deal.
A big deal.
In fact, Daniel's dad worked for Fred Meyer as well.
That's right, we talked about this on another live stream. Let's see, Kim says... Oh, Maybe it's your farmer life, and that's why you have weird ass dreams. Yep, no wonder.
I think, I mean, my parents talk about, like, me having memories of wars and stuff when I was
Yeah, I
little.
remember your sisters talking about that too. Terry mentioned it.
So it's possible.
Let's see. Kim and Mark are going to Labadee, Haiti, Aruba, and how do you say that? Curacao?
Curacao.
Next year we have a big cruise to Europe if we can safely travel. Oh yeah, I hope so. How fun! Daniel will be your chaperone. We're going to Scotland first for 10 days to stay with our niece, then cruising to London for a few days. We'll be gone for a month. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a blast.
Okay, so.
Paul wants to go to Scotland for golf.
Big time. Big time. Okay. This, I'm going to zoom in on our scarecrow, because this is just pretty much our finishing touches is where we're getting to.
Oh no, I'm not going to have time to add my ghost.
So I'm going to take a little bit of this kind of lightened color that we made for the path, and I'm just going to put some little streaks of color on his raggedy rags. Like so. I am now going to take just some pure yellow and dab it on his eyes. In his mouth. Maybe a little white right in the middle too. I can't unsee C3PO now. No, I just needed to be yellow.
I can't either now, Paul. Thanks a lot.
Just yellow. That works. Okay. Now I'm going to mix up a little. He really pissed off Han Solo for the last time. Got stuck out on this path. I'm mixing together a little bit of yellow ochre and magenta to make kind of an orange. Maybe add a little bit of regular yellow, processed yellow to it as well. There we go. On the stem.
The flamboyant gold robot that turned into a scarecrow.
I don't feel good with that orange color. It didn't look orange enough. So I'm gonna add a little bit more magenta. There we go.
I guess you could add a shadow on the ground. Oh, you already did.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I got too intense with the eyes.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. Forever see it as C3PO.
I'm gonna show you guys a trick. So I just made the face like really blotchy and ugly. Now I'm just gonna take black and my small brush.
You paint pumpkin faces like you paint cats. My guy doesn't really stand out enough. So I'm trying to figure out what I need to paint around him on his left side.
There we go. Look at that mouth.
That looks better.
Yeah.
Maybe some turquoise.
There we go. Now his face glows. That's what I wanted. All right, now we're almost done. Let's do some highlights on our forward trees. There's a couple ways we could go with this. I know I've got this color mixed right here that's kind of blah. I'm going to add a little bit of magenta to it. And add a little bit of cyan. Going to make this kind of grayed out, kind of lavender. And all I'm really going to do is just kind of There's a trick I like to do. You can take the brush and push it. Push it.
You are thinking the same thing as I am.
And you want to push it real good as you work your way up here. But I like to push it against the bristles because then the bristles kind of do some weird things.
Yeah, they wreck.
It's totally true. If you guys need new brushes, you can order them on GoBox.com.
You can blame Paul if you need new brushes.
No.
Don't use his technique.
No, do, because then they have to buy more brushes.
I just threw one of his brushes away right before we started. I was like, you have taken this to the brink of death.
And if you do too much, you can come back with the black. Back with black! I paint the black! Would you believe that guy blew out his vocal cords?
Yes, I believe it.
Then they brought Axl Rose in to sing, and he blew out his vocal cords too.
Did he really sing for
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, for one summer tour or something.
So Axl Rose, the thing, there's been a bunch of videos, clips of him posted on TikTok, and of him singing, and someone in the comments said he sounds exactly like Mickey Mouse, and now I can't unhear that.
Yep.
He sounds exactly like Mickey Mouse. And he sings, it sounds just like, it's just like so crazy.
I know where you are.
You're in the jungle.
You're in the jungle, baby.
He sounds just like.
You're gonna die. Huh, Pluto? Let's sing with Guns N' Roses. Welcome to the jungle. We have fun and games. Shake it, Minnie.
Okay, you need to record an album.
Yup.
Oh, let's see here. Jenny, it's funny you mentioned empty nesters. We were, but our youngest daughter, her hubby, and two of our grands have been living with us since 19. They will have to take care of the house while we are gone.
Can you trust them? No parties while we're on the cruise, kids.
Is that why you go on so many cruises? You could escape. No, that's pretty cool. That I think that's really super cool. Your parents are the type too, Paul, that we could easily. Well, we could easily.
If they hadn't sold their old house.
If they hadn't sold their old house, yeah.
Right.
Now we have no way of like.
Well, there's always
move back.
There's always the trailer.
There's always the trailer. There's this warehouse.
Well, there's a trailer in the other warehouse, and it's got 2 beds in it. All right. So you don't want to do too much with these highlights on the trees. You just want to kind of it helps define.
Pluto didn't talk, Paul. I've totally wanted to do a whole album as Goofy and an old man. He says, yes, it was a great way for us to be alone, and they better watch the house while they live there. Yeah, that is kind of nice to have house sitters. Do you have dogs or anything? Like, that's where I would love it, is because I am super attached to my COVID dog. My daughter says I trauma bonded with her.
It's pretty clear who number 2 is in the house. And it's not me or the kids.
And I always think, I can't leave her, Paul. What are we going to do? I can never leave her. Because she's got some health issues. Like, nothing major. She just has OCD, and I know she likes things a certain way. And I think someone taking care of her isn't
you
gonna
feed the
do
dog, don't forget their cheese. All right, so.
Don't forget their pinch of cheese tax.
So I'm going to take my number 4, and I'm going to use magenta. And I'm going to paint a couple pairs of eyes over here. There's 1.
You watch Mickey's Clubhouse every single day because of your grandkids.
There's 2. And let's do one more set. Sorry,
That's
I'm just
funny.
moving along.
I saw something the other day that said that a lot of people don't know that Goofy is actually a cow. Is that true? I have no idea.
Do one set over here.
Oh, you're doing eyes?
Goofy is a dog. dog.
No, this thing said he's not a dog. Everyone
Okay,
says
but
he's a dog.
okay, that might
He's
be
a
true.
cow.
But Walt Disney himself said he was a dog.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
You have it on good authority?
I've seen it. I read about it on Instagram.
Right.
All right, now I'm gonna take a little bit of yellow, put a little yellow dot in each of these eyes.
Daniel will know. Daniel knows all these random facts.
Daniel has Google. Just like all the rest of us. In fact, I think Daniel was the one who introduced me to the "Let me Google that for you" link.
Well, I don't even know anything about that.
Oh, it's like when people ask you a question, like people who post questions on like Facebook, and you post a link to the answer, but what it does is it takes you to a fake page that looks like Google that then types in their question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was Ask Jeeves?
I don't know. I think that was a different. I don't like this one right here.
If you see his earliest cartoons, his girlfriend was a cow. Well.
But she doesn't look
that's
like him.
telling.
No, Goofy's face doesn't even look like a cow, even remotely.
He doesn't look like a dog either. He's got like those two big buck teeth.
I'm gonna look it up
Okay.
because I've got Google in my pocket.
Is it? You should check Ask Jeeves. I totally forgot about the link. Goofy is anthropomorphic dog compliments of Google. Okay. We'll believe the G. Nice. So this TikToker was absolutely wrong. Doing it for the views. I think it was either Instagram or TikTok where I saw that.
So his original design was to be a bull because he's a male.
So he's a cow.
But Walt Disney redirected him to be a dog as he thought it was more marketable.
Okay.
So the answer is
semi-right.
Is he a cow or is he a dog? And the answer is yes.
Is he a cow or a dog? Yes.
Yes. All right. So kind of last step here. I'm going to take my number 8 and some black. Very small amount. And some of these branches out here, I'm just going to add some hints of some types of foliage. Not a lot, just a little bit. And all I'm doing is just taking the brush and just dabbing around. This kind of breaks it up a bit. Good opportunity to hide something you don't like.
Wait a minute. The top of your original has really dark.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you said this was the last step.
No, getting
Okay,
close.
okay.
Well, this is part of this step. That step.
He's a cog or a dow. I like that. Okay, and you're using black?
Number 8. So it's
Black.
just a little bit of tiny bit of black, guys.
Okay.
Just a small amount. You can even do some flyaways. Believe it or not, this it's amazing how much this little bit of hint of foliage
Changes it up.
helps.
It really does. I was thinking the same thing.
The one thing that you want to look for, like if you'll notice, I'm not connecting these to the branches. A lot of times people, when they start trying to paint leaves on branches, they really connect them. You don't want to.
I think it's because when you're first starting out, it feels weird not to.
Yeah, and because you just kind of, there's lots of little branches we don't see, and those are a lot of the ones that are actually holding the leaves. All right, so that's about all I'm going to do for that. Then I'm going to take my biggest brush. This is going to be the intimidating part. I'm sorry, but you'll survive. Take a little bit of black. Start up in these top corners. Start with less. almost none on your brush to start with. You can always add more. You can add a little tiny bit of blue to that if you want to. Cyan.
Cyan is the color of the day.
Totally is. A little carried away right there. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to rinse my brush. Wipe it off.
Sounded like how Forrest Gump would paint. That's all I'm gonna do about that.
That's all I'm going to do about that. No, wait, that was George
That was
W.
George.
I'm George Sr.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. No new taxes.
Paul does a good, he did a good Ross Perot.
Gosh.
I think we did that in another video recently.
Yeah.
I remember you talking.
Not gonna do it.
I remember you talking like Ross Perot and saying something about no potato chips. I can't remember.
It's been so long since I've done Ross Perot. I can't do it justice.
You need a Paul's Comedy Paint Hour.
I don't know if people would find it that funny, though. That's the thing. I'd have like my 4 or 5 fans that would be like, he's so funny.
And the others would be like, I don't find it funny at all.
I'm so offended right now. Who gave this guy a platform? And I'd be like, Google. Because Google owns YouTube.
Okay. I did not know that.
Did not know that.
I figured it was Elon Musk by now. I heard that big something under your breath.
Let's not talk about him.
Read my lips. Jelly
Read
beans.
my lips.
Jelly beans.
Jelly beans. And Coca-Cola. Now I'm just kind of having fun. Oh, that actually looks kind of cool.
Whoa, your dark cloud is ominous.
It's ominous. It's not really a cloud. It's just the canopy of the trees.
All my voices end up as either goofy or old-timey newscasters. You should never let Paul and I do a live show. We'd never get through it.
Remember when I like freaked people out at Lord of the Rings?
What did you do?
We were like, everybody's leaving, and I was like, move along, my precious. But it was like way better because I was like way in practice. Other people must get to the exit soon, my precious. And people were like, what? All right, so mine is done.
Nice.
I think. Did I miss anything? No, didn't miss anything.
I guess
Sign the painting.
enough.
My little signature right here.
I gotta figure out what color. I'm almost done in just a second.
So I'll put mine next to the original. You can see it's a little different. It's always going to be a little different. We aren't a sweatshop.
I need my reading glasses for doing this small stuff.
So here's this one. I had some of this little like, it's got a lot of glare. Where's that glare coming? It's coming from that one. Mm-hmm. We got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Not now. It's too late. I feel like the original's a little darker, maybe a little softer. But all in all, captured the feeling.
Yep.
Now let's see Jenny's.
I captured the feeling.
More than a feeling. All right. There's Jenny's. Yeah, Jenny, you got it.
Hmm.
Yup.
Yeah, if you look, like the moons are a lot more detailed, but it's getting glare. So
Yeah.
like if you tilt them, maybe see that? Look at that. It's such a different change. Push that light out of the way.
It might just be too bright. I could turn it down.
Yeah. Fun. That was fun. I like that one. Like that. A little better.
All right. Let's come back.
What was that last little?
Don't know. Do not know.
Well, here we are. 12 days till Halloween. Maybe 11. Maybe 12. I can't remember. I think it was 12. Hayden will tell us tonight.
Yeah, I think it's
The 20.
12. No,
11.
11.
11
Yeah.
days. Yeah, because I just realized it's the
Today's
20th.
the 20th. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's our Halloween month for painting.
That is.
Yeah, I have two videos on our old page for those who aren't part of our Facebook group. One's a baby bat and one's called Pumpkin Cat, and they're designed for kids, but they're super fun to paint as not kids. So
Right.
please feel free to do those, and a lot of the paint colors you have here should work.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you might even have past paint from older kits that
the
you could
reality
use.
is these process colors, you can mix just about any color you need. You know, it's just a matter of learning and experimenting. So.
Thanks, Marlene. I love the color of the sky too. Thank you, Kim. Was that a black crow in the tree? Oh, let's go back. Let's see. Whose tree? Paul's or mine? I'm looking to see. A black crow would be really cool. I thought about adding a bat, but I think a black crow would be super cool. So maybe there's a shape somewhere that looks like it.
Baby, here I am, a man on the scene. I can give you what
Yeah,
you
it's
want.
the black
but you got
crows.
to get
The band.
on to me.
Oh, and mine. Okay.
Take my hand, don't
Maybe
be
it's
shy.
This shape, maybe.
There's a crow right up there.
It could be that one. Well, I thought when I did this, I was like, oh, I created a cross inadvertently when I added a leaf, so I added a couple crosses down here, so that gave me that idea. So yeah.
Oh, like a cemetery.
That's right. On the right, up at the top. Okay. Gotta be it. One of those. Cool. I definitely need to turn it.
It would so work with a raven or an owl or a
bat.
or all kinds of things. We're coming back.
Nice. That was it.
So that's it, you guys. We will see you in November.
Yeah, let's show our holiday paintings because we've got them here. Right behind us. Here's yours.
Okay, here's what's this one called?
Soft Winter Sky.
Soft Winter Sky.
And then I've got the little cabin here called Snowden. So those will be December. And then I can go ahead and grab November down. I think most of you guys have seen them, but I know not everyone's on our Facebook group page where they get posted. So here's yours. That is called Hint of Winter.
Hint of Winter.
Because we've got fall colors and then the Hint of Winter is like back here, right?
Yep.
And then we've got this. I know it's an animal.
I'm
This
pretty
one-
sure he's hanging out right in here.
Yeah, this one will be easier than the cat. We had discussions about the cat. We called it a catastrophe. And I think your guys' paintings of the cat were fantastic. I
Yep,
loved
they turned out
seeing
good.
them. And a cat, it's a silly painting, and they don't have to be completely detailed. And it was meant to be, kind of whimsical and fun. And it was like the shading of the face is kind of where Paul felt like his fell off. So
Well, to be fair, I think if I didn't have the time crunch of being live,
yeah.
things might have gone a little differently, and I might not have felt so.
Thank you. You guys enjoy your Halloween too, Kim and Mark.
Yep.
When's your cruise? Are you going to be able to? I think our first live stream is November 10th, and then the next one would be the week after that, the Friday after that. So hopefully you'll.
I noticed
Well-
our December ones are early.
Yeah, they're earlier in the month just because everyone has their kits already.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I put them earlier in the month, I think about this every year, is because you guys maybe don't want to do something that you could hang up as a decoration on like the 22nd of December. So I try to get them done early. Okay, perfect. Yeah, you should be able to at least do one of the videos, probably both, if you're not busy. So super cool. Post your guys' paintings when you finish them, if you don't mind, or if you, I mean, you don't have to, but it'd be fun to see them. I've loved all the cats that everybody's posted, and I know some of you guys will do this project over the weekend. Some of you guys will do it later. It doesn't matter. You can paint it at Christmas time, just whatever.
Yeah, whenever you want. It's up
Whenever
to
you feel like channeling a little Halloween energy.
Our videos are evergreen.
They are. They're evergreen. So we better clock off now. And,
Let's do it.
Yep, we're gonna go over and grab our better salads
And some onion rings.
and some onion rings. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.